This is the inventory restock function. So rather than going into Seller Central to get all of this data, you'll be able to now pull it on a per SKU basis directly from inside Google Sheets. With the extension, make sure that it's installed, that you've added your subscription ID, and if it doesn't save for whatever reason, make sure you do it in incognito mode because you have to bypass Google's cache. Also, verify that you've added your Gorilla nickname or the seller store name into your Gorilla account. Okay, so this is different to your Amazon store name. This is used in the formula, and I'll show you what I mean. So I've already got a list of my ASINs loaded using Gorilla underscore ASIN list, and this is for the test account test seller 2. The formula for inventory restock is entered into B1 because I wanted to show it with a header. And this one formula is going to automatically populate and generate this table for each of these ASINs that I have listed. Okay, so let's see how it works. I'm going to delete B1 and you can see that it deleted everything. I'm going to start with Gorilla underscore inventory restock. As I type, it's going to autocomplete. So inventory restock is right here. It's going to highlight the seller ID or the seller nickname. I'm going to select A1 rather than hard coding it in because I just like to keep things dynamic, comma, to move on to the next one. So if you're in Europe or if you're in a Spanish speaking country, make sure you use semicolon. And the next filter or the next required input is the SKU or the ASIN. Okay, as you type it in, it's going to highlight what to do. And if you go scroll down the info box, you'll see whether you can see in the notes whether something is required or optional. If it doesn't say optional, obviously it means it's required. And the two required ones are the seller ID and the SKU, rather than just also selecting one here like this, which is what a lot of people are used to just doing in Excel and then dragging it down a million times. What we do in Google Sheets is use a range. So I'm going to select from A2 down to A16 like this. I'm going to close that formula, but in order to see that heading, I have to go all the way to the last field called header. Okay, so to skip to the header, just keep pressing comma and it's going to skip each one of these filters. I know because all of these other ones are optional. So I get to header, it's highlighted, and now I know that this is where I want to be. And I'm going to type in true because that's what it says. So you can either select true or false. By default, it's not going to show it because a lot of people just want to see like a single data point or something. So you choose whether you want to see it or not. Okay, I've entered true. It now has generated that table on a per ASIN basis. So you can see how it's going to match up your restock reports. You can see the condition, the shipped, the days of supply, the recommended quantity, as well as the recommended ship date, etc., and so on. So using this information, you can say have it on a different tab, and a use case may be to use it in tandem with your other inventory data. Okay, so this would be a alert or a flag to tell you that okay, on this particular ASIN number 5, there's 40 days of supply. So that's okay. Whereas this one is at 22 days or this one is out of stock. It's going to show you out of stock. So these two needs to be replenished ASAP. Now, if I want to do a different version where, let's see, I'm going to undo that because I just want to get, say, the days of supply. Okay. I'm going to delete the formula and let's just say days of supply. I only want this data point equals Gorilla underscore inventory restock. Same thing, it's telling me to enter my nickname, comma, for the SKUs or the range of the ASINs, comma. For the marketplace, let's do US. If you manually type something in, make sure it's in quotation mark, comma. The condition, I only want new, so I'm just going to leave that blank. But the data point is what I'm interested in. I only want to see days of supply. Okay, so I'm going to select that from the header that I just entered, close this formula out, and now it's going to give me only the days of supply from the inventory restock report for each of the ASINs. So you can see how you can use everything in bulk or you can actually fine tune and pinpoint the data that you want and load it into your sheets. The same method can be applied using let me move my face, using the manage queries, our static formula method. So inside extensions, if you open that up, go here, click on manage queries, and it will open up the sidebar. And the same thing where you type in inventory received, not inventory received, but inventory restock. And it's going to have all of these fields that you can manually type in or select the cell where the data point exists. So for example, when it's asking me for the required nickname or the seller ID, I know that it's in A1, so I can either just type in A1 for cell A1, or if I want to type it in manually, I would do test seller 2, and it's going to embed the name directly into the formula. And so you can just pretty much recreate the same thing, but this is going to be in a much more static format. Whereas this formula, you can see that it's a dynamic function directly inside the sheet. And so Google is going to try and refresh this data point, this whole range about, I don't know, once every hour or so. Whereas on this one, you have much more control over when you want to refresh it, when you want to keep it static and not have it refreshing all the time. And maybe things could break if you have a massive spreadsheet. So that's where the manage queries formula builder will come in to play in your operations and in your spreadsheets.